Hey y'all, welcome back to the next SB update. We were just doing some light work and I decided to get her used to the concept of going over obstacles. I started with a tarp folded up in the round pin. I folded it into its least scary possible form, and I just wanted to do a really quick session introducing her to it. I pulled it a bit farther from the fence so I could create a gap for her to go around. This way I could get her used to going beside an obstacle, but not closer to me than the obstacle. I don't want her to come into my space because that could prove dangerous if she were to get scared and jump on top of me. So I encourage her to go around on the other side. The fence acts as an extra barrier, which gives her a guideline. This helps her find the right answer. So I'm not using a whole lot of pressure, you can see, just encouraging her to walk forward, and as long as she's pointed at the obstacle and moving forward, I'm just calmly waiting. So she was really good, a bit nervous, but still went through between the tarp and the fence. And you can see Henry in the background watching intently. She had an ear on the tarp, a bit concerned about it, but that was very confident for her overall. She was still getting a little more refined on her lunging and sending cues. So when I teach them about obstacles, I'm sending them back and forth rather than leading them over, because this helps keep me safe and out of the way if they do go to spook. I'm not sure what that was. I think a fly went under her nose and she went to almost strike at it, and then she got a bit spunky for some reason, so that was a little weird. I think she was maybe starting to feel better and had a bit of an overload of energy. Not sure, but it was nice to see a little bit of expression from her because she had been pretty quiet, pretty stoic up until this point, and it was nice to see her acting a bit exuberant. So you can see I moved the tarp closer to the fence so that she would almost step on it, and I was going to start to move it closer and closer until she was walking on it. It's really important to me that I help set the horses up for success and help them find the right answer. So if that means breaking things down into the simplest, easiest possible form and helping them do something that's very easy and then gradually increasing the difficulty, that's what I'll do. If I were to just ask her to walk straight over the tarp, she would have probably said no, and that would have ended up being an argument. Instead of arguing with her and trying to convince her to go over something that she's scared of, I can ask her to do something that she does feel confident and safe doing, and then slowly build up to walking over the tarp. This will help her gain more trust in me than any amount of me applying pressure to get her over something she's afraid of ever would. I was talking while filming this video because I thought I might save myself the trouble of doing a voiceover, but you really can't tell what I'm saying with the sounds of the highway, and so I'm having to voice over it anyway, so ignore any talking you hear in the video. I'm probably not saying anything of added value. She almost said no there and then decided, okay, I'll try it. I didn't feel like editing this video down because it's pretty brief anyway, and I think it's a lot of good information and just shows how many repetitions go into training. So y'all get a full uncut training session. It's really nothing much, just my basic introduction into obstacles. She actually has to step over the tarp and taps it with a couple feet this time, and she doesn't seem to mind the noise. So in a little bit, I'll start to make the tarp wider so she actually steps on it. She's being pretty careful right now. I went just a little bit at first, but I probably could have gone even wider, considering she was already being pretty brave about the Tarp. She's a super brave mare. I had asked her to walk over a few things before. I think I put a saddle pad and maybe a flat mask on the ground once when I was leading her in the aisle in between the Mustang pens to prepare her for going out, but this was the first thing that she would have to step on that would make noise. She's still going to the edge of the tarp, but she's starting to actually walk on it. She starts to think, hey, maybe I can just go the other way and avoid this obstacle altogether. She's not being bad, just trying to find another option. So what did scare her was when she kicked a bit of dirt on the tarp and she started to say, oh no, I'm definitely going the other way. And so I just redirected her back toward the tarp. There, she actually heard a scream from her best friend Noden over in the Mustang pens, and she got a bit excited and took off, which was really funny. I didn't mind it at all. She's still pretty green and early on in her training, and she figured out that taking off wasn't going to bring her back to her friend all on her own. I thought it was pretty good that she showed some emotion and some personality, so I didn't mind that. That will go away all on its own. I don't have to correct her for it. And honestly, it just made me happy that she was feeling good and probably excited to start stretching her legs even more. She took a little peek at it there, but was still willing to go over. Again, I probably could have made it wider sooner, as she was being pretty brave. But I just wanted to build up her confidence. So there I was like, okay, well, she thinks this is pretty boring, so I can scale it up a bit. I wanted to be a bit more specific in the movement of her shoulders there, and she got a little bit better and softer in that sending out cue. So then I was starting to control her movement just a bit more, asking her to actually go in the center of the obstacle, because that will be the end goal. I don't want her necessarily going around things that I'm trying to send her over. It's just that in the beginning, I would prefer if she went around something on the opposite side as me. That way she's not coming into my space and running me over. And now that she's being pretty good, she's gaining some confidence about it, I'm asking her to go over the middle of the obstacle. That's really good. She's stepping on it, she's kicking it up with her back feet, and she doesn't seem bothered about the noise. Then it was time to take the tarp out to its full width and see what she thought of that. She was being really brave. This was a pretty boring training session, which is always the goal. There were only a couple exciting moments where SB, I think, just felt a bit of an overload of energy and got excited at hearing her friend. Overall, it was a really successful session. She started to investigate with her nose, which I love. I love letting them use their natural curiosity. And then she wanted to see if she could go around it, and I said, no, you've got to go over. And she basically is like, okay, well, I just had to check. I wanted to see if I could get her to stop on the tarp before ending the training session. We missed the first time, but it was a good start. Thank y'all for watching this quick training session with SB, and make sure to subscribe to follow along with our journey.